เอาละครับท่านผู้มีเกียรติครับเดี๋ยวเรานำเข้าสู่ช่วงเวลาต่อไปเลยนะครับกับสปีกเกอร์ท่านต่อไปสปีกเกอร์ท่านต่อไปของเราเนี่ยนะครับเป็นชาวต่างชาติฉะนั้นสำหรับท่านผู้มีเกียรติท่านไหนที่อยากที่จะได้กล่องแปลภาษาท่านสามารถนำบัตรประชาชนหรือว่าใบขับขี่นะครับไปติดต่อรับกล่องแปลภาษาได้ที่บริเวณตู้แปลภาษาสีดำที่ผมชี้ไปอยู่เนี่ยนะครับสปีกเกอร์คนต่อไปของเราพูดน่าสนใจนะครับฉะนั้นสามารถที่จะรับกล่องแปลภาษาสำหรับเข้าร่วมเซสชันนี้ได้ครับเอาละครับก็ผมขออนุญาตแนะนำสปีกเกอร์คนต่อไปของเราเป็นภาษาอังกฤษเลยนะครับเขาชื่อว่าเจฟ ฮอฟแมนครับ Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Mr. Jeff Hoffman. He is a successful entrepreneur, a proven CEO, worldwide motivational speaker, published author. He has been the founder of multiple startups and has been the CEO of both public and private companies.He has served as a senior executive in many capacities. Jeff has been part of a number of well-known companies, including, as we know, Priceline.com, Ubid.com, Colorjar, and more. Jeff also serves on boards of companies in the US, Europe, South America, Africa, and Asia, supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses in more than 150 countries.He also serves on the boards of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, Unreasonable Group, and Global 1000. He supports the White House, the United States Department, and the United Nations and foreign governments on economic growth initiatives and entrepreneurship. Jeff is a frequent keynote speaker, having been invited to speak in over 50 countries on topic of innovation, entrepreneurship, and business leadership. Now today, Jeff is going to speak to us about innovation secrets. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help me welcome Mr. Jeff Hoffman. ขอเสียงปรบมือให้คุณ Jeff Hoffman ด้วยครับ It's all yours.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. Very excited to be here. This is my third visit to Thailand in the last probably 18 months. The progress with the digital economy, as we heard from the Prime Minister this morning, and the progress with entrepreneurship in general and innovation has just been amazing here. So they asked me to come talk to you today about innovation secrets that we hope will not be secrets anymore. So I'm going to spend a little time and share with you some of the things that the world's most innovative people do. And the question is this: there are some people and some companies in the world that are constantly innovating. Every time you see them, they have another great idea and a great product. And the question is this: what are those people doing that everybody else isn't? They must be doing something different because they keep coming up with great ideas. So that's what we're here to look at today. And I will tell you, I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've been building companies and taking ideas and trying to turn them into businesses, into reality. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. The biggest company that I was part of was an idea for online travel that became a company in the US called Priceline. In Europe, it's called Booking.com. Here, it's called Agoda.com. Hopefully, some of you have used Agoda, but that's all one company that was a startup idea. So I started to wonder. I've done a total of 8 companies that I've started. I started to wonder, though, what are the habits of really innovative, successful people? What is it that innovators do? So I decided to start studying that. And I took off. This is year 5. For the last 5 years, I've been going all over the world and meeting with successful people, meeting with people young and old, male and female, all kinds of people, to try to understand from them what makes innovation. What are the secrets? What are the things that we can learn from them? I think in the last, 5 years, whatever, in the years that I've been studying innovators, I think that I have met with people in about 90 different countries. So I've had a lot of time to study what makes innovative people really innovative. And that's what I want to share with you today. But this is a really important point. When I ask people about innovation, most people think innovation is when you're in the shower and you just have a good idea. People tell me they just hope one day a good idea will come along. And that makes innovation an accident, right? If you happen to think of something, lucky for you. But when I started studying really innovative people, I noticed something. The process of innovation is not an accident. There are things that they do every day that make them smarter and more innovative. Today, I'm going to share 3 of those things with you that I've learned along the way. These are the 3 things we're going to talk about today. These are 3 things you can do to be more innovative. And there are 3 things I learned from studying innovators around the world. So we'll talk about childlike wonder. I'm going to introduce you to something I call info sponging. The word doesn't mean anything, I just made it up. And then the last one is a technique called blue sky sessions. So let's look at those 3 things. The first one is this. It's childlike wonder. And I noticed that innovators are people that never stop wondering about everything around them. They never stop asking questions about everything around them, even if it doesn't involve them. So I want to tell you guys a story today, a story of how I learned this, because I learned it from a 5-year-old about how to open my mind and look differently. So let me share that. And again, I was going to say, if you don't know what this device is, this is a 5-year-old. Everybody here has either had one or been one. Why do I choose a 5-year-old? Because 5 is the age where everything you tell a child, they say why, right? Put your shoes on, why? Because we have to go to the store, why? Because we need food, why? Because we need to eat it, why? Everything you ask a child, they want to know why. And what's really interesting is that as we become adults, we stop questioning everything. Yet the world's most successful innovators never lose their childlike sense of wonder. So here's the story. On this particular day, I had a 5-year-old that I was going to take care of for the day. And I said to the 5-year-old, I left something in my office. And I said to her, get in the car. I have to go to the office for a minute. And she started walking across the floor, and she was looking down. And she was looking down at the carpet. And she looked up at me, and she said, how do they make carpet? And I said, I don't know how to make carpet. My company doesn't make carpet. I don't have any reason to know that. Who cares? And the 5-year-old said, well, I just want to know how they make carpet. Tell me. And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, you're an adult. And I said, well, they don't teach you how to make carpet when you become an adult. And she said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I remember watching a TV show where there were these big machines that were weaving carpet. So I said, big machines weave carpet. And I said, just get in the car. And she looked at me, and she was disappointed because I don't know how to make carpet. So we went out to the car. And when we got to the car, the 5-year-old knocked on the window. And I said, get in the car. We have to go. And she said to me, how do they make glass? And I said, I don't know how to make glass. I said, I have no reason to know how to make glass. My company doesn't make glass. And she said, well, how do they make it? And I said, I don't know how to make glass. And she said, I thought you went to college. And I said, I did not take a class in college called How to Make Glass. I don't know. And she looked at me, again, very disappointed. Now I'm getting a little worried because I'm losing an argument to a 5-year-old. So she said, what do you think? So I remember when I was in school, we went to a glass factory. So I said, I remember they have fire and flame and sand, and they melt the sand in the fire. And she just started laughing. And I said, why is that funny? And she said, you don't know how they make glass, do you? And I said, look, just get in the car. I don't care how they make glass. So before she got in the car, you see that black piece of plastic? It's between the front window and the back window on every car. She touched that black piece of plastic, and she said to me, "What is this thing called?" And I said, "It doesn't have a name. It's just the plastic thing between the two windows." And she said, "Well, what do they call it?" And I said, "I have no idea. It's just a piece of plastic. It doesn't have a name." And the 5-year-old looked at me for a minute, and then she said this. She said, "If it doesn't have a name, how could they order more of those on an assembly line?" So it turns out I gave this very speech in Detroit where they make cars at home, and everyone in the audience knew the part number and the SKU number. That thing has a name, but I never wondered about it before. So I finally get her in the car, and we go to the office. And when we get to the office, she's asking questions about everything. But when we walk into the office, in my office, there's a table in the front lobby. And on the table are these two machines. And as we're walking by, she said, "What is that machine and why do you have two of those?" Right? And I looked at it and I said, "Look, just go draw pictures in the conference room. Leave me alone." The 5-year-old was frustrating me. So she went in the conference room and I went to my office. And I felt kind of upset. And I thought, I'm not upset because she's asking me all these questions. I'm upset because I can't answer one single question that a 5-year-old asked me today. So I went out of my office and I got my office manager. And I said, I pointed at those machines. And I said, what are those two machines? What is that machine and why do we have two of them? And my office manager looked at the machines and said, "I don't know what those are. They've been here since you hired me." And I said, "Wait, there's two machines right in the front entrance. And you don't know what they are?" She said, "Nope." And I said, "I don't know what they are either, and it's my company. I own the company." So she started walking around, and she said, "No one knows what the machines are because no one ever asked." So I got my finance officer, and I said to him, "Do me a favor, find out what those machines are." So he came back 30 minutes later, and he said, "Hey, boss, there's good news and there's bad news." I said, "What is the good news?" He said, "I know what those machines are." I said, "What are they?" And he said, "They're binding machines. In the days way back before PowerPoint, we used to print our own presentations and bind them." I said, "What is the bad news?" And he said, "The bad news is that we are renting those machines." I don't know how many years we've been renting those machines because nobody ever asked what they were. So this is the lesson that I learned. We stop seeing everything that is familiar to us. We stop asking questions like a child. So I got an idea. I told all of my employees, I said, "Friday is 5-year-old day at work." I said, "I want everybody to come to work, and I want you to ask questions about everything you see. And don't stop asking questions until we have an answer." And there were so many things in our company that nobody could answer the question, why do we do that? Why is this here? Why is that? That we changed our whole company in one Friday. Because everything we started to wonder about and question that we couldn't answer, we just stopped doing. And we became a better company overnight. So the first lesson of the world's most innovative people is they never lose their sense of childlike wonder. I would challenge you to try this sometime. Either bring a 5-year-old to work with you, or walk around your office and question everything you do. Walk around your life and question everything you do. She started asking about some of the people. Why is she here? What does he do? Those are pretty good questions, because there may be people that long ago, when you told them what to do, it made sense, but nobody ever asked any questions again. Asking questions like a 5-year-old is an amazing way to innovate and redesign your business and your life. Here's the second one I want to take a few minutes and share with you. This idea is called info sponging. The word doesn't mean anything. I just made it up. But let me explain to you what the concept is. I noticed that the best and most innovative people in the world, again, these are people that consider themselves farmers. But what they plant are ideas. They plant seeds of ideas. Then they feed them and water them and try to grow them. Many ideas die. Some ideas make it. But they never stop farming and harvesting ideas. So the question is, where do all these ideas come from? And the answer is looking at a world that's bigger than yours. And let me explain what that means. If you work in healthcare, what do you do all day? You solve healthcare problems. That's what your business is. If I were to say to you, I'm going to a conference on banking and financial industry, do you want to go? You would say, Jeff, why would I go to the banking conference? We're in healthcare. If I gave you a magazine called Retail Malls, How to Build Malls, you would say, Jeff, we're in healthcare. I don't care how they build malls. Well, guess what, guys? This is the carpet question. How do they make carpet? How do they make glass? And it turns out that the more things you learn about, the more ideas you have that nobody else thought of in your industry yet. So I started thinking when I noticed these innovative people. As we're walking along, my innovative friends will be looking down and say, I wonder how they make carpet, and then they'll go look it up. And then they'll say, I wonder how they make glass, and then they'll go look it up. And these are the people that come up with ideas, because the best ideas are created by looking at good ideas that other people in other industries and other countries had, and putting their ideas together in a new way in your business and in your country. So here is the idea. For most 95% of your week, of your day, if you're in healthcare, you can do healthcare. But here's what I'm going to challenge you. Take 10 minutes, that's it. 10 minutes out of your day. I do this every morning. If you don't have 10 minutes a day, do it once a week. During these 10 minutes, you are going to leave your industry. For 10 minutes, you do not work in healthcare. You do not work for your company. For 10 minutes, here's what you're going to do. You are going to learn one new thing every day. But here's what's important. You're going to learn one new thing that you don't need to know. I don't need to know how they make glass. But when I studied it, I learned something amazing about manufacturing and glass companies that helped me in another business. So every day, info sponging is the idea that I take 10 minutes every day and I go learn one new thing every day. When I am done, I write down one sentence about what I learned. I'll give you an example in a minute. And what I want you to do is follow your curiosity. People say to me, Jeff, when I do info sponging, where do I go to learn something? I'm going to tell you something. Go wherever catches your eye. And this is why I tell people, trust your gut instinct. And here's why. When we use the phrase gut instinct, it sounds like you're making a quick decision without thinking about it. But here's what I think. I think the word instinct needs a new marketing manager, because your instinct is not a bad thing. Your instinct is the total of every bad decision you ever made and every good decision. So when I'm curious, if I'm walking around out here and I see something in a booth and I'm immediately drawn to it, I follow that instinct. Your gut knows what you're interested in. So read one new thing every day and write down one sentence. And here's how I want you to think about knowledge. I want you to think about every new thing you learn is like getting a piece of a puzzle. So if I gave you one piece of a puzzle and said, what does this puzzle, what picture is it? You would say, I don't know. I have a blue piece of a puzzle. If I gave you 2 or 3 pieces, you would still not know. But if you collected a new puzzle piece every single day and moved them around your desk, one day you would call me and you'd say, Jeff, I figured it out. I have enough pieces and I know that this puzzle is going to be a castle in England when it's done. This is what we do with knowledge. We learn one new thing every day, and I write them down and I look at them, and I stare at all these things I learned, and I say, can I create something new that didn't exist yesterday about all these new things? Here's a very quick example. I remember studying one day, reading a story when I was info sponging about distressed inventory. I don't know what distressed inventory is. I don't do that for a living. Again, it's like how do they make glass? But I studied it, and I made a note about what distressed inventory means. And then when I went to bed, I remember thinking to myself, what else is distressed inventory? I wonder if empty airplane seats and empty hotel rooms are distressed inventory. And you know what it felt like to me? It felt like two puzzle pieces in my brain just fit together. Another day, I read a story about perishable commodities. Perishable commodities are things that you have to sell fast. The story was about how to sell fruit. I don't sell bananas, but I read a story about how to sell bananas anyway. And the story talked about how you have to urgently change the price before the banana turns black. So I wrote down notes about perishable commodities that I learned from how to sell fruit. But when I went to bed that night, I was thinking, what is more perishable than a banana? I'll tell you what's more perishable. An airplane seat. When they close the door to the airplane, all the goods are spoiled faster than a banana. When the clock turns midnight, all the rooms in the hotel are unsold and they cost money. So the point I'm telling you about is I can project forward to a time in Connecticut with a guy named Jay Walker who came up with the idea. But the idea was we came up with a concept that was a distressed inventory, dynamically priced, online perishable commodity distribution system. That's the company that became Priceline, Agoda, Booking.com. This was an idea, just an idea on paper. Today, this company does business in 200 countries, and the company is worth, I feel silly saying this, the company is worth $99 billion, and it came from combining different ideas from different industries to create something brand new. That is why we do info sponging. The last piece that I want to share with you today is something called a blue sky session. And so let me explain this. And by the way, before I move away from info sponging, think about this. If you think about creating Uber, Uber was not created by somebody looking at taxis in the taxi business and saying, what's the next taxi look like? Uber is a taxi company that doesn't even own cars. How would you have created that if you didn't look outside your industry? What Uber did was combine the idea of the sharing economy, right? Of this latent capacity of home-based businesses. He took different concepts from different industries and made something new. That's the reason to info sponge. So our third piece here is called Blue Sky Sessions. And here's the idea for a Blue Sky session. If I were to ask you to innovate your business, here's what you would do. Let's say that you really were in healthcare and you'd been working in healthcare for 20 years. And I said, our healthcare company needs to innovate. You would look at your company to try to make it better. And you would create something called Healthcare 21.0. The problem with Healthcare 21.0 is that it contains all the bad decisions you've made in 20 years. It contains all the old technology. It contains all the legacy paradigms, right, in industry, the way it was designed 20 years ago. So you will take a 20-year-old company or industry and you'll move it a little bit to 21.0. Here's another idea. This is the question that we ask in a blue sky session. We do this twice a year. You should try it once. What we do is ask this question. If your company did not exist and you were starting your company or your industry over completely today, what would you design? So what you will design, and I'm going to give you an example. You would design a company that you probably can't do because you do have customers and you do have some legacy systems. But you would design something that if you start working backwards from this new idea, this brand new, for example, when you designed your company in the first place, social media did not exist. Later, you added social media. If you designed your company starting over today, you would design it completely differently for mobile devices and social media, as an example. So what we do is we ask the question, if we started over today, what would we design? But here are the important rules of a blue sky session. First of all, we go somewhere comfortable. We change clothes. Everybody has to be comfortable. The environment is important because we're going to brainstorm, but we're going to come up with crazy ideas. So the second rule is that no one judges anybody, right? If people in the room, if two people work together and she's my boss and I have an idea, I'm afraid to say it because if I have an idea how she could do it better and I say it, then when we walk out, she's going to say, you made me look bad and now my career is in trouble. So the rule is nobody judges anybody. Everybody just lets the ideas go in there. It's also fully inclusive. I don't care if the receptionist or the cleaning lady wants to come. Good ideas come from everyone. So anyone that wants to come in this session comes. Then what we do, reason it says clean slate, is we pretend we were starting our company over today, right? That's how you get ideas you'd never get looking at your existing company. The last thing says no gravity. Let me explain what this means. What this means is crazy ideas that you can't really do, you need to hear them anyway. Because 99 of 100 crazy ideas are just crazy and everybody laughs. But then the 100th idea is something that you say, wait a minute, what did you just say? And the person says, I don't know, I was just letting the ideas fly, and it's brilliant. So let me give you an example of how this works. One day in the United States, we were getting ready to do a blue sky session, and one of my people was late. And I said, where were you? And he said, I stopped to get fast food. And he said, I'm late because it wasn't fast. And I said, let's do a blue sky session on how to make fast food better. So in the United States, obviously we use these drive-through lanes a lot. So I said, let's start the blue sky. No rules. Come up with a crazy idea. If you were doing fast food, how would you do it? Because today, we drive into the lane, we stop at a speaker, we place our order, then we drive to the next window. When the food's ready, they tell us how much, we give them money, they give us change, and then we leave. So here is how blue sky works. My person said, he said, hey Jeff, did you ever go to a concert or a soccer game where they have cannons and they shoot t-shirts? You guys know what I'm talking about? They shoot t-shirts up into the audience out of a cannon. I said, okay, I don't know what this has to do with lunch. He said, here's my idea. He said, I will never stop my car again. He said, I will text my order to the restaurant. Then, as I drive by, they will sit outside the road. I will open the window of my car. They will have a cannon and they will shoot lunch into my car. Okay? This is a crazy idea that you cannot do. This is where we started. What is the closest we could get to shooting lunch into cars in a cannon? So let me tell you what happened. Because we were thinking about that, instead of going inside, let's say you owned a restaurant, and someone said, make your restaurant more innovative. Most of you would go inside and look at your restaurant and say, well, what if I got one more waiter? Or if you were McDonald's, you would say, well, I can't make French fries any faster because you can't make grease any hotter. It ruins the potatoes. Or you would say, I can't fill Coca-Cola cups faster because they splash. You would look at your existing business and try to make it better. But what we did was we reinvented. So our idea was, let's shoot a cannon at someone's car so that they don't have to stop driving. Here's what we came up with when we're done. I'll just tell you the end. The end was, we started a new company that day. And the new company has an electric eye. And the electric eye sits in the parking lot. And it sees the car coming up. And it looks at my car and my license. And it says, McDonald's to use this example, their most frequent customer, they call them soccer moms. It's the mother who takes the kids to all her activities. So it sees her car. And it says, oh, that's Mary. Mary comes here every Tuesday and every Thursday with her kids after school. Her daughter always gets chicken. Her son always gets a cheeseburger with no onions. So as soon as it sees Mary's car coming in, it tells the people inside what to make. Why? Because almost every time people get the same thing. So now, instead of driving up and stopping in the line where they say, welcome to McDonald's, may I help you? They see Mary and she doesn't have to order anymore. We just start preparing her food. Then we got another idea. The next slow part is when you get to the window and you have to give them money and they have to give you change. So we said, well, Mary comes here all the time. So we tell Mary, if you want to just swipe your credit card once, we will give you a monthly bill for your food. And we'll have your card. So you'll never have to take your wallet out again. We know it's you, we'll charge your card. Then we came up with another idea. Because she comes here so often, what if we offer her a subscription to dinner? And so instead of paying every time, Mary buys in advance 30 dinners for her children. So she gets them for $2 each instead of $3 each. She gets a discount and the restaurant gets all the month's food paid for in advance. Everybody wins. So you know where this ended? This ended with something we're testing. If you want to stop and talk to people and order and pay, you can go on the regular line. But now there's a new line where our little eyeball sees your car, knows who you are. By the time you pull in, we're already holding the bag out the window. You never stop your car. You drive up, drive through, we hand you your food, and you just keep going. No ordering, no paying, no stopping. That's pretty close to a cannon. We would have never come up with that idea if we did not let some crazy ideas fly. So, every once in a while, I want you to do this too. Gather your team and say, if we were inventing this company today, what would you guys come up with? And let some crazy ideas fly. So let me just summarize for you guys. I shared 3 ideas with you today. The first one is to go back through your life and your business like you were a 5-year-old and question everything. Everything you can't answer, stop doing it. And everything you can, you need to do. Second, I told you to try info sponging. Learn one new thing every day from a different industry and be the first person in your industry or your country to combine other people's ideas into a brand new idea, just like Uber did, or other companies. And lastly, I told you, blue sky sessions, gather your team and sit around and toss out crazy ideas about how to reinvent your business. I hope you guys will try some of these things. I thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to meeting some of you during the break. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff Hoffman. Please remain on stage as we have a souvenir for you. And at this time, I would like to invite up on stage นะครับขอกราบเรียนเชิญคุณกสิติธรภูพาราไดรองผู้อำนวยการสำนักงานส่งเสริมเศรษฐกิจดิจิทัลครับเพื่อมอบของที่ระลึกให้กับสปีกเกอร์ของเรานะครับ Mr. Jeff Hoffman ครับขอขอบพระคุณนะครับขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับสปีกเกอร์ของเราอีกสักรอบหนึ่งนะครับ It's a souvenir from Digital Thailand Big Bang 2007. Thank you for being here. 2017 rather.